Hey everybody, welcome back. Today is June 21st, 2018. Happy summer solstice. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, and I'm here with your weekly messages from your angels by astrological sign. If you'd like to learn more about me, my services, or to book a private session, please feel free to go to my website at www.terihunter.com. That's TERIHUNTER.com. Or otherwise, you can reach me, text me through the information below. All right, let's just jump right into Aries. What do we have for you this week, Aries? All right, our first angel is Fiona. The second is Archangel Raphael. The third is Athena. And the final one is Teresa. So in our foundational position is Fiona. And Fiona basically says, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving that help. Now, oftentimes, we ask for help. We say, please, please, please. And then we go straight into micromanaging. How will it happen? Trying to strategize. I want to urge all you Aries to go into an energy of how it feels once you've achieved your goal. Now, I want to say this because as I'm talking, I get the distinct feeling that Aries may be addressing not necessarily goals in the outside world as much as they may be involving interpersonal relationships or people in your immediate life. It doesn't necessarily mean your family. It could be workmates. It could be people you see as you drop your kids off at school. There's going to be potentially a prickly energy this coming week. We have Mars in its storm period. It's about to go retrograde. So I really feel like Fiona is basically saying, surrender to the dynamic, ask God and the angels to provide you with the calm necessary, because in our opportunity and our obstacle is Archangel Raphael, and he is the Archangel of healing. In relation to him, I have Athena, who says it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself towards the things that you want. Now, as I look at this, I feel like it's really about a timing issue. Aries, I want you to be mindful this week when you're communicating, when you're dealing with others. Do your best to stand in the moment and not react. People around you may be prickly. I have a Teresa in the final position, and she is really a card that says it's a kind of a timeout. And she can talk about worry or being busy taking care of other people. But for me right now, as I look at this, I really feel that this is about the dealings of people's moods and their attitudes and the way they're being. And there's the potential that people could be cranky and a little nasty or blunt and curt and not really care how you feel about it, or you could be perpetrating that energy. So please try to be mindful. I think this week will be easier on you as you walk through things with a more conscious way of being. All right, let's go on to Taurus. All right, our first angel is Desiree. The second is Astera. The third is Yvonne. And the final angel is Sonia. All right, my Tauruses. Desiree is a card that talks about not necessarily taking action and jumping and moving forward. Conditions aren't necessarily favorable, and that there will be options opening up as you sit back and sort of wait for the green light of it. It feels very murky to me. This is an interesting week. There's a lot of dynamics going on astrologically. Saturn is going backwards in retrograde. We're going to have a Capricorn full moon coming up about a week. And all of these things, Saturn talks about restriction, about almost feeling like there's a confining energy in some ways to Saturn. So this week feels very much about not necessarily taking, again, action outside as much as it's more strategizing and thinking about moving things forward in a way conceptually. Astera is here asking you to reach for the stars with your dreams and your desires. And I really don't think that's about knowing necessarily what that is right now, as much as it's allowing for you to be comfortable sitting in the vulnerability of the things that you want that are not, they don't appear to be happening in the outside world right now. And I think that is because there is a disruptive energy. We've talked about Uranus going into Taurus, which is about changing things up. So we've got Uranus, which is new, fresh, kinetic, electric energy. And then we have Saturn, who wants to anchor us in, cement things down, restrict us, sort of put us in a timeout in some ways. So I feel like for Taurus this week, I've got your final angel here is Sonia. And Sonia will talk about a deceased loved one being safe and at peace on the other side. But I really think this is about your guardian angels. This is about your guides watching over you. As you sit in the unknown, knowing that conditions aren't favorable, that maybe you're trying to communicate your point of view, and no matter what you say, the person on the other side is not hearing you or your intention. I feel like it's a little bit about turning it over, sort of not trying to move things forward, picking your moments, and maybe not communicating some of the more challenging things of your heart this particular week. Instead, sort of strategizing, if you were to receive this communication, how would it feel for you? And then try to go from there. I really want to say take a rest this week, Taurus. Don't try to push things forward. I think you're going to just run into challenges. All right, let's move on to our Geminis. I forgot to grab my drink. I'll be right back. Sorry, guys. I was getting parched. All right. Gemini. I really think there's going to be a common theme for this whole week as we go into this Mars retrograde and we're in the storm period. A lot of people are going to be feeling unconsciously irritated. They're not going to know why. All right. Gemini, you got both of our magical unicorns. First in the form of Mystique. Mystique talks about charging ahead and expecting miraculous solutions. This is in your foundational position. Now, interestingly enough, we got Desiree in your opportunity and your obstacle saying, no, conditions are not favorable right now. Hold back and wait. Then I have Omega, our second unicorn, saying that victory is coming to you. Keep up the good work. And then I have Shanti saying she's the angel of peace, and she's always sort of brings in a disruption before the peace can come in. So what I have here for you, Geminis, is sort of the epitome of Gemini. I've got two sides of the fence. I've got my magical unicorn saying, keep up the good work, expect miracles. And then I've got Desiree and Shanti saying, slow down. I think that what Mystique and Omega are offering you are things are not manifesting right now. They're not showing up per se. They're more in process. I almost feel as I say that we've seen indications of the manifestation of what it is you're trying to achieve relationship-wise, out in the, birthing out into the world as far as your own professional endeavors. And at the same time, it feels like as you try to go to the next level, I sort of want to pull back. I want to reassess. I want to look at where I've been. I want to take what I love about where I've been and I want to apply it to where I'm going. I don't know that I'm going to get there just yet, but I know this sounds crazy. I feel very sort of abstract right now, but I think that has something to do with this Mars retrograde energy and this storm period. The summer solstice is like a day when we would normally, set an intention and move things forward. And then we have these counterintuitive energies in the stars astrologically. So I want to just kind of summarize for Gemini this. When you're contemplating any forward movement, action, endeavors, say you want to get a new job or you're going to go on eHarmony and look for a new relationship, before you actually do that, sit back, maybe go into sort of a quiet meditation, do a little of a reflection of where you've been and what you want to receive moving forward. And I want to say, especially when it comes to relationships, focus in on the character of the person that you'd like to meet, the person you'd like to be with, their kindness, their consideration, their demonstrative affection for you. And if that is not the case, if you want to, apply that dynamic to whatever genre you're trying to move forward, because Shanti is really offering in more peace, but that peace is not going to come in, I think, Gemini, until you sort of come clean with what you want for you versus what other people may want for you, or what you think you want for you, but it's based on some sort of fear-based, outside, how it will look to others kind of feeling. All right, let's go into our Cancers. So funny sometimes when I do these, back to back, I almost feel like I'm really channeling, not really holding on to any of the information, not even sure what I'm saying from sentence to sentence. Ooh. All right. Cancer. Serena is our first angel. Fiona is our second. Vanessa is our third. And our final is Archangel Raphael. So in the foundational position, Serena is the angel of abundance. Straight up money, straight up resources that we are in receipt of. We are, how do I want to put this? Again, I cannot go out and create this money. This is money that's coming to me. It's money that's coming to me, resources that are coming to me, not just from efforts I've made now, but from previous efforts. And I feel like, again, no more micromanaging. It's sort of about opening up in abundance, knowing that this is an abundant place, that the world is supporting your endeavors, because I also have Fiona with her hands open, saying, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving that divine guidance. Money is not necessarily what we all want. Money provides us with a vehicle to get the things we want. So with Serena and Fiona, Serena in the foundational position, Fiona in the opportunity or the obstacle, this is beyond you right now. Again, going to repeat it just in case you guys are jumping only to your signs. Mars and Saturn are sort of working together to slow things down. Mars is the planet of war, the planet of action, the planet of innovation, the planet of entrepreneurship, leadership, wanting to make things happen. Saturn is the opposite. It's wanting to restrict things. It's wanting to slow things down, to do things really by the book. The slow, methodical, oxen sort of energy, I've got to push and push. So Serena and Fiona are saying that's not going to work right now. So instead of getting frustrated, open yourself to spirit and receive, because Vanessa in the angel's advice is asking you to filter this through the eyes of faith versus the eyes of fear. Faith that you'll be taken care of. Again, faith that the universe is benevolent in its ability to provide for you. And it provides for you as you direct it. So your faithful energy that the job you want, the money you need, the relationship you want, and I just go to the top three when I say that, it is through your joyous welcoming of that experience that spirit can then provide that experience. And I have Archangel Raphael in the final position offering a healing. To me, it's not necessarily that Cancers, you are broken. It isn't that at all. You don't need to be healed. This is more of a reconciliation. It's sort of allowing yourself to take in the experience that at some moments you cannot force things to happen. The only thing you can do is stand in the position of how it feels once you've achieved it, kind of go into this joyous energy of excitement about that, and then letting spirit take care of the rest, and then following the breadcrumbs and continuing this and I want to go now to Saturn. Again, continued action, even if you don't see results, you continue to have that faith, continue to walk that line, continue to ring that bell. I am this, I am getting that job, and if for some reason the job I think I want I don't get that means that spirit is actually bringing in a job that would be better than the one that you can see or think or imagine right now. Okay, let's go on to Leo. You know, in some ways today, Leo, is your day. Although here in Laguna Beach, it's very foggy and cloudy and 64 degrees. But it is the longest day of the year, being the summer solstice. So I kind of, even though it's in Cancer astrological sign, I still think it's like Leo energy. All right, let's see what's going on here for you. All right, we have Vanessa in our foundational position. We have Opal in our opportunity or our obstacle. We have Serafina in the angel's advice, and we have Layla. Okay, so the first thing I feel when I hit this, you know, is I always talk about that when the cards of children come up, that I always kind of think of it as the inner child. And today I want to say no. Actually, I think my Leos that are parents or involved or work with children, I think that's going to come to the forefront this week for some reason. I have Vanessa in the foundational position saying, as you contemplate your decisions, your actions, are you going to base them on faith or are you going to base them on fear? In the opportunity or the obstacle, I have Opal saying that your children are safe on heaven and earth and cared for by God and the angels. In the angel's advice, I have Serafina saying a happy change is coming to your family. And then I have Layla, my mobile meditation angel. I always think of her as the angel that says, go out into nature and let God speak to you through nature. Pay attention to the signs and the omens that you see, the birds flying by, the bunnies that scurry by. So let me sort of encapsulate this for my Leos. There are changes probably going on with your children or within a childlike dynamic in your life. And I'm just going to go straight to children and parenting this week. I believe that there may be a shifting in your children. They could be exerting some independence, wanting to have some adventures, wanting to start to stretch themselves. And I think that as parents, you're going to have to sort of know that God is taking care of your children as they now venture out into the world as independent little beings and making their own decisions. And I'm not really concerned whether your child is 5 or 50. It's really more about trusting that your children, the children in your life, are capable of making good decisions and decisions based on a higher vibration. And for those of you that don't have children, I feel like that there is a childlike dynamic around you. I don't want to go to the inner child this week. So I want to say for those Leos that may not have children, pay attention as you're walking through the week to the children around you. There are a couple little girls that play in the alley across the street. It's like another street over. With their little Barbie bikes and such. And, you know, they squeal in delight. And there are days I think to myself, oh, dear God, I need earplugs. And then there's times when I think to myself, oh, that is just sheer joy. You know, these little girls don't seem to have a care in the world, and they're just in the moment, and they're just embracing, you know, riding their little Barbie bike and stretching themselves to see what they can do. So I want to offer that to you, Leo, this week. Enjoy. Again, Mars is going to be retrograde for in the next few months. So as we endeavor to move our stories forward, I think we need to be very mindful of our energy as we do that, because there are going to be it's not an open highway. I just want to put it that way. There's going to be obstacles. It's not like we can't get things done, but our way of being is going to be primary to getting those things done. It's going to be the tent pole of how we get those things done. This kind of just trying to muscle our way physically through to get things done isn't going to work. All right, let's go into Virgo. I don't know why I ended Leo with that, but I did. All right, let's see, Virgo. What's up for you this week? As I'm saying that, I feel like I want to say, be gentle with yourselves, Virgo. Oh my goodness, are you expecting too much of yourself this week? There's Fiona again, popping out. All right, let's see. Fiona, again, running theme. Guys, this is a week where turn it over to Spirit. You know, I almost wish that we could all go on vacation, because there's just sort of a real cog in the wheel this week. All right, so Virgo, Fiona says, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving that help. This is not a pleading energy. This is not a desperate energy. This is not a faithless energy. This is a faithful energy. Oh, I went to the In-N-Out drive-through. I put in my order for a double-double, and I'm going to the next window, and it's going to be there. It's the same thing with God and the angels. But I want to offer you this, Virgos, because every thought is two thoughts. There's our inspired thought. Oh, I want to achieve this. I want this kind of thing. And then the dual thought, the underbelly of that original thought, is the road to get there. And more times than not, that road to get there is the dominant thought. It is the thought of all the obstacles, all the pitfalls, all the challenges. And in that, we are actually stopping and slowing down the manifestation. I have the patience card here in the opportunity or the obstacle. This is not about sitting on an egg. It's not about waiting fearfully for something. It's about knowing, faithfully, standing in that energy that says, yeah, it's all good. It's all happening. Because as you do that, and as you turn over the bigger dynamics to spirit, and then really revel in the feeling of achieving that, attaining it, experiencing it, then you're going to start to learn something and assimilate that within you. And then here we have Archangel Raphael, the Archangel of Healing. I think this is more about, I don't want to say that we're broken as humans. I feel like we call forth contrasting experiences so that we can make those higher vibrational choices and then stand in that energy of knowing that we are capable of manifesting the things that we want. I have Rosetta in the final position. She's an angel that represents children. She says you have a gift for working with children. But in this combination of Fiona saying God and the angels are in charge of how your manifestation is coming, it's a childlike innocence. It's a knowing. You know, I find it so interesting how people go to church and they talk about our Father who art in heaven, right? Well, in the human experience, hopefully, we have a Father that cares for us, that takes care of it, that provides and protects. And that is what Spirit is, our Father that provides and protects. So as we kind of adopt that childlike innocence, that yes, it's all good. Now I want to say this for you too, Virgo, because I don't think things are going to be manifesting quickly. This feels very much like a process. And the process is to enlighten your Virgonian minds past the practical and into the intentional. Because in your practical mind, you won't be able to figure out how it's going to happen, or you might see obstacles or stops. But on the flip side, as you turn it over to God and the angels, it empowers you down the line with a tool that, frankly, is invaluable. It is invaluable to be able to trust Spirit to the point of standing in the energy of what it feels like once I've achieved it, that joyous energy, that tingles that make, that's so powerful. It's like gasoline on a fire. It's like fireworks into the sky. And that's what children do. Children have a gleeful energy. They just expect things to happen. All right, let's go on to our Libras. Woo-hoo. Bunch of cards jumped out there. All right. We have Layla in the foundational position, Astera in our opportunity or obstacle. We have Ray in the angel's advice, and the final outcome is Omega. All right, guys. Layla, again, my walking meditation angel. She's always, for me, about spending time in nature and paying attention to all sorts of things that are of this earth. I don't want to pay attention to traffic. Don't want to pay attention to the noise. I want to pay attention to the other things. I want to pay attention to the small things, like a little snail that's crawling across the sidewalk. You know, I kind of feel like, as I said that about the snail, it's almost like, you know, a little animal like that is determined to make his little way, and this just takes time, and sometimes he sticks to the ground, but manages to somehow pull himself off of that suction and get where he needs to go. So I really want to encourage my Libras to spend time in nature and even go out into your own gardens. If you live in an apartment, go out into the common areas and just sort of sit and just observe what's coming towards you. Because in my opportunity or my obstacle, I have Astera saying, reach for the stars with your dreams and your desires. And as I look at it, I almost get this feeling of you guys feeling a little worn down, maybe like, yeah, some things are happening, but the big nuggets I was looking for, I don't know, are they going to happen or not? I have Ray in my in the Angel's Advice, and she's is a card of meditation, and she's sitting. It's so funny. On the face of the card, she talks about yoga and exercise being essential, and yet here she is sitting in a very stationary position with her hands in the Om, and she's connecting her power center, her power chakra, to her third eye and connecting to spirit. So we have two angels representing meditation in two different forms. One is being aware and sort of receiving the angel's advice, the angel's guidance through that mobile meditation. And the second ray is really taking Astera's energy and sending that rocket of desire into the universe, unencumbered by your fear, your trying to figure out how it's going to happen. Because again, I have victory coming, and there's a common theme for so far. Now I've done Aries through Libra, and each sign is in some way being challenged to relinquish control over their desires, turn them over to spirit, and then to tuck back in themselves and reflect a little bit on where we frankly get in our own way. I'm just going to put it out there. Sometimes we fret and we worry about stuff, and it puts our focus in an area that's never going to manifest anything. You can't get there if you're sitting down here. It just doesn't work. All right, guys, let's go on to my Scorpios. Hold on just a second. Okay, sitting on my biomat. It's getting a little warm. All right, Scorpio, what's up for you this week on this summer solstice day? All right, our first card is Indriel. I have Layla. I have Archangel Gabriel, and I have Celeste. All right, Indriel is the card of the light worker, and I really think that we all have a light inside of us. We all have the potentials to be of service, but I don't know that we're all meant to be of service here in every lifetime's incarnation. Sometimes it's just about shining your own light, giving yourself permission to be in that joyous energy of whatever it is that you love. Because I really think that Scorpio, it's funny to me because I feel like there's a little bit of you that's struggling to shine your light. There's a little bit of you that's struggling to find sort of an inner peace with what's going on. I have Layla, again, my walking meditation. God and the angels asking you to spend some time out in nature. And I would offer you this, Scorpio. It might be a good idea to find yourself a body of water. Wherever you are in the world, find yourself a natural body of water. I'm not necessarily talking about a swimming pool. Because you are a water sign, I think it may serve you this week to spend time in nature near water. If it could be salt water, that would even be better because that has a detoxifying, sort of a cleansing energy. In my Angel's Advice, I have Archangel Gabriel, and she's saying essentially, I think she's addressing, she doesn't want you to be insecure about your desires, about shining your light, about the fact that if there has not been movement that supports you feeling like you can shine your light, it is on its way. Because I have Celeste here in the final position, and she will talk about a happy move to a new home or a new place of employment. But for me, the way I think is the home is truly my home. You can put my physical body anywhere. You could put it here in Laguna Beach. You could put me in Irvine. You could put me in San Diego. You could put me in Saudi Arabia. I'm going to think a certain way. I have a certain belief system. So as I have shift that belief system into the idea that as I shine my light, the light of me, my natural expression, my way of being, just me, authentic, I think it's going to start to shift the way that my Scorpios are feeling, because it's going to shift the way you're thinking. And to facilitate that, Spirit is asking you to spend time in nature. And I really want to encourage you to spend time by the water. Or, you know what, if you are landlocked and there's no water around you, maybe get some Epsom salts or some sea salt and take a sea salt bath this week. I think that might help. Just kind of, I just want to go. All right, that's what I got for you. Let's go on to our Sagittarius. Again, I'm feeling a little wacky today, like I don't know what I'm saying. But that's what Spirit does. They just inspire us. All right, our first card is Astera. Our second is Merlina. Our third is Shanti. And the final card is Rosetta. All right, Sag, I totally want to say this to you. Do not dumb down. Do not take a job because it is a logical move. Don't take it because it looks practical, because it'll end up being a do-over. Astera in the foundational position, when I saw her, the first thing I thought was that there's sort of a feeling of being worn down, as if you may, let's just use the metaphor that you guys have been trying to find a new job, or you want a job of some kind. And you have been, trying and nothing's happening, and then you get offered something that is not really what you want. It may offer the amount of money you want, but it isn't the position you want, or it isn't the, how do I want to word this? If it's a crab crawl, if you're going sideways in some ways, can you just kind of feel worn down by the universe? I kind of need you to pull back and rest, because Merlina is saying in the opportunity or the obstacle that you're confused and indecisive. When I looked at that, I first thought that when y'all started this, my Sages, whatever it is, and again, I'm going to go with that metaphor of the job. You were excited. You're like, yeah, I want this, and then nothing happened, or you thought you were going to get something and somebody else got it, and you're feeling a little worn down by the journey of it. I want you to hold the line, because Shanti in the Angel's Advice is offering in a new sense of peace. Now, when I say peace, I never expect to be flatlined. I never expect us to sit in some sort of vacuum of, I always expect that peace to be a certain amount of understanding that I have come to, a conclusion, a reconciliation that I have in the experience that gives me peace. Because the final card is Rosetta, and Rosetta is the child card, having a gift for working with young people. But again, this is more the childlike innocence. Astera saying, I really, really, really wanted the job over here, and I'm not getting that job. Should I settle for the job over here that, it's okay, gives me good benefits, the hours are easy, but the work itself isn't exactly what I was looking for? It's going to be a cul-de-sac. If you choose that experience, it's going to be a do-over. So sort of sit back and let Astera and Rosetta lead you by staying in alignment with the bigger vision of what you want, and allowing for this pause, allowing for the journey of discovery, allowing yourself the privilege, Sag, of saying, you know what, this sounds good, it looks good, but it's not what I really wanted, so I'm going to hang back and reach for the stars of what I really wanted. And guess what Spirit will do? Yeah, that's what they'll do. All right, let's go on to our Capricorns. Okay, so as I'm shuffling, first thing I want to say to you, Caps, and we'll probably talk about it next week again, but we've got a full moon coming. And you're ruled by Saturn. Saturn is retrograde. This is going to fall directly on you in some ways. So if you feel restricted in this next week or two, or you feel a lack of forward motion, allow yourself a little Grace and Antoinette. Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on. I know I'm not finishing my sentence. All right. So I was going to say allow yourself, give yourself a little wiggle room. Grace and Antoinette is a card of compassion, asking you to look at something from another person's point of view and have compassion for their point of view. I actually think this is for you. You may be a little frustrated. You may feel restricted. You may feel tied down. My hands are tied. Delays. Every time I try to move something forward, I get a notice that, there's been some strike on somewhere and they can't get the goods out, because there's going to be something a little disruptive going on in the next couple of weeks. And I have Athena in the opportunity or the obstacle, and she's really saying that it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself. And then I have Merlina, which is saying that you're confused and indecisive. I think what's going to happen is you're actually going to get annoyed. And you may find yourself wanting to be a little prickly with people. You may want to be like, come on, we've talked about this. This has been going on for months. What do you mean you don't know this or that? And I feel like in some respects, you don't have to have so much compassion for the other side as much as compassion for yourself, so that when you get done having this conversation or going through this situation, you feel better about yourself and how you showed up than whether or not you actually were able to achieve your goal. The final card here is Yvonne. And Yvonne is, for me, a card of vulnerability. And with this Capricorn being ruled by Saturn and such, there's sort of this energy, there's no room for vulnerability. You guys are a little bit more, well, I don't know, because, I'm generalizing in some respects, but I guess what I want to say is I want to have compassion for self as I'm more vulnerable in this experience, that even though it's disruptive, as I choose how I show up, as I choose how I communicate. Am I being curt and impatient? Or am I remembering that whoever I called on the other end of the phone is just receiving my phone call? They didn't perpetrate the crime. They didn't disrupt my service. They didn't create the problem. Because I really think, Capricorn, this is about how you show up during a disruptive time, and a time when you feel like you've got things buttoned up, as if you've put out these directives to people or these plans, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere people are acting like, what? I didn't know that. And you just want to go, are you kidding me? So it isn't really about what they do. It's more about how you show up and how you communicate, so that you can walk out of this feeling good about yourself regardless of whatever disruption has taken place. All right, let's go on to Aquarius. I don't know if I've told you guys this before. Aquarius is actually ruled by two different planets. The traditional planet is Saturn, again, our restrictive planet, and then we have Uranus. Very different energies, and yet they can work very complementary with one another. Uranus is very innovative, very electric, and Saturn is very stationary, very sedentary, very restrictive. Okay, Aquarius, interesting here. First card is Aurora. Aurora says you're flying high right now, which may threaten others, but don't descend, because you'll soon set an example for them. As I look at this, I really feel like I don't even want to pay attention to other people. I don't want to put any concern on how they're processing me right now. Of course, I always want to be courteous, and I always want to walk through this, with kindness and compassion in the world. But, I'm kind of hearing defying gravity from Wicked. So basically, Elfie, she had to sort of choose her own path. She had to say, no, I don't want to go into the herd. So I want to say, Aquarius, you're choosing your own path right now. And whether or not other people understand that path, it's okay. It's okay that they don't understand. Because I have Akasha. Akasha is a spiritual teacher card, and I don't think in any way you're meant to teach these people face to face like this, as much as they can learn from your experience of sort of having to push the peanut gallery out. I'm sorry. I can appreciate your opinion. I can appreciate your dynamic, whatever it is. But just stay the course. Defy gravity. In the beginning of the song, it talks about having to trust your instincts and closing your eyes and leaping into the dynamic that Elfie wanted to live. Aquarius, Spirit is asking you to leap into the life that you want to live, because Archangel Raphael is offering a healing, which to me is a big reconciliation. It's where Akasha really gets her wings to fly as a teacher, because you're learning, people are learning by experiencing your energy, and in some respects your tenacity, and also in some respects your ability to disassociate emotionally and move forward intentionally. And I don't mean this is like as far as pushing yourself in, in the material world, as much as it's those permissions that Aurora is giving you to fly high. Because here's Archangel Gabriel in the final position saying that you have an important life's mission in communications and the arts. And I don't think that may be true for all of you, but if you think about this, being like Elfie and allowing yourself to trust your own instincts and to close your eyes and to leap into the idea of what you want for your life, in many ways is a very important mission on how we communicate with ourselves. Because at the end of the day, it really, all other genres kind of take a second place to communication. Communication to spirit tells them what we want. Communication with others. Communication with self. Self-talk. Self-talk is our belief. Our belief is where we step out into the world. It's how we start taking our actions. So here we have a wonderful opportunity this week to step into, Aquarius, your version of yourself. Take no prisoners, and yet do it compassionately. People don't have to understand, and you don't have to explain to them. Let them experience you peripherally. And in doing so, you'll be able to communicate powerfully. All right, let's go on to our final sign, Pisces. I don't know where Lucky is. I don't see him anywhere. I think he might be in the other room sleeping. It's a gray, lazy day here for the first day of summer. If I didn't know better, I would think it was January. Of course, I think that Laguna has its own weather system. You could go to Newport, which is like 6 miles north, and there would be sunny and awesome. All right, I'm not a weatherman. Let's move on. All right, my Pisces, in my first position, I have Athena. My second position, I have Xana. My third position, I have Shanti. And the final angel is Omega. All right. Pisces, you're such a warm, empathetic sign, very intuitive, very much, when I say empathic, being able to feel the dynamics when you walk into a room, feel people's emotions. Athena is telling me this week to lovingly assert myself. When I say that, I don't mean that I'm necessarily asserting myself up against somebody else or some other thing, as much as I'm looking to myself as what are my desires, what do I want for myself, and lovingly asserting myself there. Xana is in my opportunity and my obstacle, and she's a card of protection, and I always kind of think of her as emotional, spiritual, mental protection versus physical protection, because emotionally, as we assert our own desires, we may run up against some people who don't necessarily agree with those desires or have their own opinion about what we should do. And as I say that, I get the vision of a parent coaching their child in a certain direction and inadvertently coaching them fear-based, because they're like, well, you want to be a singer? Great, that's really hard to do. So you go ahead and do that, but why don't you get a job in a bank? That's secure. Yeah. Not. Okay, Shanti is the angel of peace. That protection and peace comes from you allowing yourself to assert yourself towards the things you want. There's Omega, the card of victory. To me, this for Pisces is going to be an interior victory. It's almost like the first layer is giving yourself permission to go against the herd, go against the sage advice to do something safe and stretch myself just a little bit. And as I stretch myself, get comfortable in that, and then move to the next level and the next level. Because it isn't really about what you achieve, it's about the journey of lovingly asserting your power out in the world and then finding it, bringing you the things that you want. Okay, so I want to wrap this up as saying that overall, astrologically, the dynamics of this week and some of the coming months are going to be rather challenging and restricting. In the sense of motion forward may be choppy. So I want to offer everyone this, when you find the seas in your life are a little choppy, I think it's time for reflection. Time to sort of take a look, not way back and focus in on the problems, but more where you may have been making decisions and moved based on some sort of false sense of security instead of what you really, really, really wanted. Because when you go for what you really, 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 really want, Spirit will start to facilitate that. Because the things that we start to manifest that aren't the things we want are usually the things that we have put into play because they are things other people thought would be good for us or would be safe for us or be loving for us. I don't think these other people have any malice or any ill will. We just have to be very mindful of whether we're making our decisions based on faith, the things we want, or fear. Fear is always going to be a do-over, guys. It may be 20 years from now, but it's going to be a do-over. All right, that's it for this week. Again, happy summer solstice. It's June 21st, 2018. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, intuitive guide, and spiritual coach. So if you'd like to learn more about me, book a private session, or get coaching, feel free to go to my website at www.terihunter.com, and I'll be back next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.